by, in this case, 500, which is 500 million. So this would indicate that there was probably something called depreciation on our equipment or on our buildings, meaning that things get old. Not everything can stay brand new, so the value of their property, plant, and equipment had decreased, and this is typical as time goes on. Now, we look at goodwill. Goodwill stayed relatively same. Goodwill, all goodwill is when you acquire another business, that is the account that you value. So Apple goes and acquires, let's say, this is just an example, they didn't acquire them. Let's say Apple goes and acquires Cisco Systems. They would debit the goodwill to, buy out of Cisco. And so goodwill is just an account that shows the value of what they have acquired business-wise. So they've stayed relatively neutral. I haven't heard that Apple bought out any companies or acquired any stock in another company, so that makes sense. Acquired intangible assets, we really don't have to worry about. Main things now, we get total assets, but the main things that I want to recap on assets are just like looking at inventories, at accounts receivable, and looking at property, plant, and equipment, and seeing how these numbers increased or either decreased throughout the quarter or even throughout the years, and just to look and make sense of it. So if accounts receivable increase, what does this mean? This means that we provided more services, we did more business, and that means people owe us a little bit more money within the next 30 days. Inventories increase. What does this mean? We were probably a little bit more productive. Inventories decrease. What does that mean? We probably sold a lot more. So these are just things that you got to look at. That is really important because this determines, it's painting you a picture on what the company is doing in the matter of numbers. So we'll dive into current liabilities, liabilities and stockholders' equity. And this is the good stuff, liabilities. So liabilities, all liabilities is our debt, our payments that are needed to pay, what we're liable of, pretty much. Accounts payable, it's the exact opposite of accounts receivable. So accounts receivable is when we have money coming in, right? Accounts payable is when we owe money in the next 30 days. So let's use the Tim Cook and Bill Gates example again. So in this case, Bill Gates comes to Tim Cook and he's like, yeah, I can tell you a few secrets, and I'm gonna provide you some services, but you can pay me whatever in the next 30 days. So now Apple claims an accounts payable because they owe Microsoft in the next 30 days. And this increased slightly over the quarter. It just shows that Apple took on a little bit more liabilities. Whether that was, they're buying hardware for the iPhones, they're buying screens for the MacBooks, they're buying different types of gadgets for their iPads, whatever it is, whatever Apple purchases, anywhere from materials to services to anything, accounts payable is something, it's an obligation that they need to pay in 30 days. Accrued expenses are just expenses that Apple has acquired but has not yet paid, and there's not really a time frame for that. And you just see that if accrued expenses increase, shows that they took they spent a little bit more money. Deferred revenue is revenue. So this is actually, it's a liability, but it's not something that you should think of in a bad way. Deferred revenue is revenue. So revenue is sales, money that we've made. Deferred revenue is money that we've made, but we have not yet received it. So it's different from accounts receivable due to the fact that deferred revenue is when Tim Cook goes and sells iPhones to all of us in the Wall Street Trading Academy. However, we're all broken. We haven't paid him yet. We've signed the papers to pay him eventually, or we financed it or whatnot. But Tim Cook has not received that money yet. This is something called deferred revenue. Commercial paper is another debt account. That meaning they owe money. And then long-term debt is just some